Hey legends, and welcome back to the least knowledgeable sim racing channel, where we're once again doing a least knowledgeable product review. Our friends at Fanatec were nice enough to send over their ClubSport shifter and handbrake version 1.5 for me to try out. Most definitely after I didn't spend weeks whining at them that I couldn't properly enjoy my rally sims with just paddle shifters. Now that I can potentially live out all my drifting and slow shifting fantasies, I thought, why not share the experience with you guys? While we're in the spirit of sharing, consider subscribing and ringing the bell to stay up to date with future sim racing news and product reviews. What you're seeing here is a combination of me unboxing and mounting both units to my next level racing GT track. I had to ask around a bit, but as it turns out, the GT track is intended to mount both of these on its shifter plate, so I fortunately didn't need to order any additional mounting hardware. First things first, the ClubSport shifter comes out very sturdy and impressive. It's largely constructed of metal, much as the Thrustmaster TH8A I'm replacing with it. Unlike the Thrustmaster though, this unit is capable of switching between sequential and H-pattern shift modes in, well, basically a second. There's a little toggle switch on the side of the base that simply has to be moved, and the unit instantly switches from one mode into the other with no disassembly. It comes with two different knobs out of the box, one intended for H-pattern mode and the other intended for sequential mode, but really, you can use whichever you prefer. The impressive thing here is that the price is more or less identical to the Thrustmaster TH8A, in spite of the fact that it makes a much better value and time-saving proposition. I'm really looking forward to putting it to the test. Like the shifter, the handbrake comes in packaged quite nicely, everything being served up in shaped foam, much how you'd expect a hitman to carry his tools around. The handbrake is a much simpler proposition, coming in with just the one mode of operation and a small handful of cables connected to either your Fanatec wheelbase or pedals. Bear in mind that in order to connect either the ClubSport shifter or handbrake directly to a PC, you'll need to order the separate USB adapter for both. Given the price point of these products, it's a bit of a bummer for Fanatec not to provide these by default, but they are pushing you to stay in their ecosystem, so the default cables are all intended to connect to their wheelbases or pedals. The process of connecting these to my next level racing GT track was relatively straightforward, with only my own lack of brain cells causing me to need to reconnect them onto the shifter plate in the correct orientation after doing it incorrectly the first time. After looking inside and realizing that I was likely going to have a really bad time attempting to reorient the handbrake lever, I decided to leave it for another day. This would actually turn out to be by far the most annoying aspect of this entire process, almost unbelievably so, but I'll elaborate on that in the summary. The two can be mounted in an array of different ways. I had the shifter plate to bolt directly onto, but if you're more constrained, you can actually bolt the handbrake directly onto the shifter itself. The shifter comes with the necessary hardware to do this. This is it, most of the way there, sans the handbrake orientation. I'll save you the ordeal of witnessing how we reoriented the handbrake lever, but I will say that it won't be a pleasant affair should you decide to purchase the handbrake and mount it in the same orientation as me. Now, let's put these two to the test with some actual driving. Gentlemen and lady, maybe. Welcome to Assetto Corsa, the original, believe it or not, something that doesn't feature very often on this channel at all, and why, you might ask? I don't really know, it's just not something I've played very often, but I mean, look at it with soul mod and custom shaders, it looks absolutely gorgeous, it looks industry leading even now. Anyway, that's not what we're here for, we're here to test out this wonderful Fanatec, or hopefully wonderful Fanatec SQ 1.5 shifter. Let's get into it, we're actually racing. Alright, so here we are on the grid. First gear, let's see if we can launch. Can we launch correctly? Oh, we can try. So much smoke. No idea when I'm supposed to shift. That's what I love about AC. You can see your driver's hand go down, informing you of when you should. So far, no misshifts at all. And I'm already gaining on everyone. How good is that? Haven't even blown out the gearbox yet. Wonderful. Awesome start. Man, this game, for something that's as old as R-Factor, it's quite impressive, isn't it? Okay, so the ND Cup, as you can see, low to mid-powered, supremely easy to drive. Come on, guy. I know you guys don't like it when I treat the AI like AI rather than humans, but sometimes they really act like AI and they deserve to be treated as such. So, the shifter, let's talk about it now that we've got some space on the straight here. It's compared to my TH8A, which is my basis for comparison here. Oh, yes, very good. It's a supremely short throw, so it's very, very easy to shift. As you can see, even in spite of my general lack of skill, I've not had any issues shifting with it yet. Haven't even spun out on the corkscrew, which is amazing. Very, very fast shifts, pretty much limited just by your own skill, or lack thereof. And one of the coolest things about it is that it can shift in and out of sequential and regular H pattern mode very, very quickly and very, very easily with just a simple latch on the side. Whereas with the TH8A that I used to use, you basically had to disassemble it. It took about 10-15 minutes to do. Now, because the TH8A was only ever useful in sequential mode, that didn't really matter all too much. And you know, in spite of this car having absolutely no engine or torque, I sometimes forget it has absolutely no weight either. I forget that my brake points can be way too late. See if we can catch these guys. Believe it or not, I've set the AI within 3% of 97%, so some of the AI should be close to max, while the others are closer to the 95 percentile mark. I've got to say that I should probably play AC a lot more, because the AI, relatively speaking, is kind of easy. And it makes me look good, because I'm talking to you guys, and potentially going to win, maybe. This is a 3-lap race, we're going to see how we go. Will our shifter pull it through with the goods? Oh, don't do that, guy. They drive just like the Cup cars in the Nordschleife, alright? Oh, well, that was definitely more of a move than I intended to make during a product review, but here we go. So, potential negatives, even in this very, very easy class of car. Alright, so I'm gonna grab it again and talk about this. There's a bit of play. For some reason, it rotates a bit. I'm not sure what that's about. I don't know if it wasn't assembled correctly or what's happening there. Or if it's trying to emulate like some plain real, you know, shifter knobs. It's just, there's a little bit of rotation going on there. It doesn't feel 100% solid. Doesn't necessarily bother me, but it may bother some of you. Now in our next test, we're going to be trying out the handbrake and the shifter in sequential mode. So we're going to be in the, I believe, 98 or 99 Subaru World Rally car. The road-faring version of which we know as the 22B, iconic Colin McRae-mobile. Now, that actual car had a H-pattern shifter, I believe, with a dog box, so it's not going to be strictly accurate, but it's probably still going to be one of the better ways of showing you guys how this thing functions as a sequential shifter. But I've got to say, so far, as a regular H-pattern for just throwing around a Cup car in Laguna Seca, pretty darn good. No real complaints. I'm not really a shifter aficionado, I'm not really a connoisseur, so to speak, but as far as somebody with my limited abilities, I don't feel like it's holding me back any more so than I'm holding myself back. Just having a bit of fun. I can see myself joining those public Nordschleife lobbies in AC and just throwing this thing around and having a ton of fun. But on the whole, as a H-pattern shifter, it's vastly better than the Thrustmaster TH8A, which I think is priced reasonably similarly. It's kind of interesting when you think about it. This thing actually opens you up to having a useful H-pattern shifter as well as a useful sequential one. And I believe this is us crossing the finishing line for the very last time. And yes, first place. I think this could be the very first time you've seen me win anything on one of these videos, so thank the shifter. Surely, it's all because of that. So apparently I'm back in the pits for some reason. So with that said, cool. Let's move on to Dirt Rally, to possibly my favorite race car of all time, the late 90s Subaru World Rally car. To go back in time. Anyway, we'll see you guys there. Alright guys, we've saved the very best for last. Dirt Rally 2 in the amazing late 90s Colin McRae special Subaru WRC car. This is the thing that got me into motorsport when I was a teenager. I mean, what's more to say? We're going to use the shifter in sequential mode, we're going to use the handbrake in, well, handbrake mode, and let's just get at it. So far, the only thing annoying me is where the handbrake is mounted. Definitely less a Fanatec thing and more a next level racing thing. I don't know what they thought about when they were mounting the plate here, but it is what it is. Just makes my life a little bit more difficult when it comes to reaching for the handbrake. I have to really get in there. But we'll make do, right? It's all about having fun. Oh yeah, just pull it in with the trail brake, continue it on with the handbrake. You just do that nice rally driver ballet. The handbrake is so nice and progressive. The shifter is nice and clunky. Really satisfying feel to the shifts. Didn't even need the handbrake then. How's that?
Into 3 right. Opens into 1 left tightens.
Oh yeah, I'm already having so much more fun. It just feels like more of that experience, but I've got to, oh man, reaching over for the handbrake has kind of ruined the experience for me. So if you guys can, mount it closer to yourselves.
Maybe 4 right. 30. 3 left. Into 3 right. Opens 30. Open hairpin right.
Oh, what's to say?
Into 3
man,
left.
the handoff is so nice to do. As you can tell, I have to actually listen to the co-driver calls because I don't have them on the screen, right? Got to keep it realistic for the immersion, right? Luckily, Dirt Rally is one of the more easy simcade games to drive, so we don't have to worry too much. We can just kind of have a chat and talk amongst each other as we do this.
Into 3 right long. Don't cut. Opens.
Trying to get out of the trail, trying to get into that torque band so we can actually do something with the car.
3 left, don't cut through now.
There we go.
Opens of a crest, into 6 right of a crest, into 3 left long, tightens don't
lightly nipping that gate on the way through.
Into 6 right.
As the man himself said, when in doubt, flat out, right?
Don't cut 4 left.
Shift still very nice and satisfying.
20.
I think we have another hairpin coming up here, so we'll be able to use the handbrake again.
Opens of a crest, into 4 left.
Yes, the handoff. Just kind of dig the tires in, change direction while drifting up the hill. It's the way we want to do it.
3 right of a crest.
Even when you miss the hairpin, it's still effortless.
5 left. 30. 4 left long tightens.
I love that progressive feeling on the handbrake. I think if it were a bit closer to me, I'd be having a far easier time with these. Feeling for grip with that throttle there. Nice handoff.
6 left long. Into 5 right long. Tightens 3.
I have no idea what this guy is saying to me, so I'm just kind of trying to remember the track as well as I can. But man, what can I say?
Don't cut 3 left.
I don't feel like these would necessarily make you faster than just using flappy paddles to shift and whatnot, but the feeling of immersion is so much more complete.
Into 1 right tightens. Open 60
look at that.
crest and finish 70 to stop.
Gorgeous. And there we are. Whew, there's our race, boys and girls. Oh man. What an experience. My favorite car in all of motorsport and one of my favorite rallies in Dirt Rally 2.0. Now, again, I don't necessarily think these will make you faster, but just that feeling of completing that rally driver ballet, it's so satisfying. I can just imagine taking this to the next level, putting it into H shifter mode, trying to deal with that and the clutch while I'm doing this, pretending I don't have a dog box in the car. My God, so good. Anyway, before I get carried away ranting on about the experience, I'm going to jump to my synopsis and tell you guys what I think about the handbrake and the shifter after these experiences of both mounting both of them and, well, using both of them across 2 very different sim titles. Alright guys, we're finally at our synopsis of the Fanatec ClubSport Shifter SQ version 1.5 and Fanatec ClubSport Handbrake version 1.5. I hope I got those model names right, they're really a mouthful. I want to focus on the negatives first so we can free up the end to talk about the fun stuff and the things that I really enjoyed about them. So, by far the biggest negative of both of these was the handbrake. Trying to invert the handle. So the mounting process would have taken me all of about 10 to 15 minutes had I not needed to invert the handle. The inversion process involves basically having to use all of your strength, all of the lube that you have on hand to try and undo these two Allen screws that just are simply seized in there. It's almost unbelievable that Fanatec allowed this design to persist. There are comments trains online with people wondering like, are they for real? Do I have to actually use this much strength? Am I going to break something? And just bear in mind, if you buy this and you have to invert the mounting as I did, you're going to have a bit of a time with it. Now, the other thing was about the shifter. There's a bit of play, a little bit of rotation, a little bit of play near the center. It's not world shattering for me, but if you're a perfectionist, if you need it to be 100% rock solid, it may not be 100% the one for you. Now, they're about the only real negatives I can think about. The others, maybe the handle could be a little bit cheap feeling on the handbrake, and the build quality may be a little bit cheap given the price tag. I'd expect less plastic and a little bit more metal, but all those things are minor gripes because the progressive feel feels absolutely amazing on the handbrake. I loved it on the rally sim. I absolutely love the sequential shifter mode on the rally sim as well, and the H pattern mode whenever I've tried it. Now, one of the biggest advantages, right? Watch this. I've just gone to sequential mode and back to H pattern mode on the shifter. That's how quick it is. You can just jump around on the fly, jump into different classes of car, not worry whatsoever. The throw on the shifter is nice and short, super easy shifts. I don't really miss shift anymore, which is absolutely amazing even with my limited skill set. The handbrake, progressive and nice, what's to say? As you guys can probably tell, I'm quite taken with both of these and I can see them enhancing the immersion of my sim racing for many years to come. If you guys can see yourselves being in the same boat and you consider buying one or maybe both of these, please consider using the affiliate links down below as that would help the channel an absolute ton. If I missed anything in this review, be sure to ask me down below. Until next time, hit the sub, hit the bell, and I'll see you guys later.